Hi everyone, my name is Julia Lichbinska, and I welcome you to our new podcast series, Collect Yourself. Some people collect art and watches, and the outstanding personalities collect themselves. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our new series. Today we have Ursula Palla, a Swiss artist who advocates for fragility of nature and animal worlds. Ursula intertwines video installations with space sculptures and works with such sensitive materials as liquid sugar, snow, or dust of coal. She speaks about climate change, but without any pedagogical intent and without moralizing by effects, but always with a sense of poetry. Ursula, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for making it on an early morning. And to start our conversation, I would love maybe to speak about your childhood. Where did you grow up? What formed you?
Thank you for the invitation to speak with you. And it's a great pleasure. Thank you. Yes, I grew up in Chur in the canton of Graubünden, and I had a very great childhood with my parents and my grandparents. When I had time, I spent a lot of time outside in the mountains. And growing up in this special fauna and flora, that was very important for me and had a very huge impact on me. I learned from the nature there, and especially from my parents and my grandparents. They had a very great knowledge about plants, and especially my grandmother, she was a nurse, and she made tinctures and medicine by herbal plants.
Chur is also an important place not only because of the nature, but it's also a homeland for a number, or Engadin in general, right? Mm-hmm. A home, birthplace to a number of important Swiss artists, among them Segantini and also the Giacometti family. Did you, as a small child, reflect on that? I mean, were you introduced to their creations?
I'm really influenced by this great artist from Graubünden because I was growing up in the street. It was called Giacometti Street in Chur. So as a child, I knew who is this man, who was this man, what was his profession, and so I was really close to this artist. And then additional, my mother was she was very influenced by art, and
What did she do?
She worked in an office, but her father was a painter. So
wow,
yeah.
So it's all in your genes.
Yeah, a little bit. And then we visited very often museums. Yeah, and she explained us the artists.
What was your main influence when you grew up?
The main influence was really Augusto Giacometti, his paintings about the sky and the stars. And then additionally it was Segantini, his work Werden sein Vergehen, and Angelika Kaufmann.
Yes.
This was the main influence. And then after, at the time in Zurich, Bill Viola, Bruce Nauman, and William Kentridge were very important.
Did you know right away that you want to become an artist?
Yeah, for me it was clear as a child because I was always painting. And yeah, for me it was really clear.
And when has this change for video art happened?
Changed in my studies because I realized that this is very difficult for me to paint, to bring my idea in a work. So then I realized I am working in series. It's like making a movie. So then I changed to video.
But where has this longing for nature happened? Was it because you moved out of Graubünden, to the city, and you had less contact probably with nature, and that you were longing for this nature? You wanted to come back to this serene pastoral views. Do you know, have you reflected on that? Where does this come from?
I grew up in the 60s and 70s in Graubünden, and in the 70s the winter tourism started. On one side, it means that we have more possibilities to go in the mountain and to see what is going there and to hiking there. But on the other hand, I realized that it means that we lost a lot of. So we have both.
We lost a lot of nature.
A lot of nature, yeah.
Is this also the situation with the Calendar Mountain? The one you told me that in the 40s it was hit with the missile, right?
Yeah.
And you as a child haven't experienced that, but it stayed in the like in the village myth, so to say, right? And you saw how mountain suffered. Could you maybe tell me more about this?
As a child, I knew this story, and you could see all this burned wooden on the mountain, on the Calanda. And I had this image in me, a burning mountain. The mountain is very stable. It's very stable and very big. And then you can realize, oh, it's burning. And what does this mean for the nature, for the human body? And so I was really influenced about this story. And my mother told me about this situation when this mountain burned and what that it means for the people living in the city nearby this mountain. And so I was really afraid about us, about our society. What are we doing now? What's going on? And I realized that we have to protect the nature.
But what is that you're afraid of? Because I'm referring now to the interview by Isabel Zürcher, who was saying that in most of the times people are not worried about nature itself. In many cases, we speak about climate change or the environmental damage only in the terms of losing comfort ourselves. You know, that it will not be as comfortable as it was for us. You know, also now the weather is becoming unpredictable. You know, it's very changing and we can't really navigate this way. How is it for you? Is nature evil? Because we can't protect nature, you know, like we can reduce our maybe harm to it, right? And we can collaborate with it. What is your philosophy on that?
Nature is not good or not bad. Nature exists. And we are part of them.
Yep.
And when we look to the nature, we are looking to us and to the other non-human being. And I think there is the evolution is going on. And behind us, we don't realize it. Sometimes we know the mountains are falling down right now because of the climate changing. It's coming faster and faster, but we also know that this is a part of this evolution time. When I say we have to protect the nature, we have to protect the spaces for fauna and flora because they can't protect themselves. So we have to give them back some room, spaces, landscape. And yeah, I think this is my opinion of protect nature.
Yeah. And maybe in this point, it's worth speaking about your latest project on Greifen Lake.
Greifen Lake, yeah.
Yes. You told me before that it was a competition, right? Kunst am Bau, where you wanted to bring a work, but in the last moment you changed your mind. Could you maybe tell us what happened there and why Greifen Lake is so important for the European flora and fauna?
I had a concept for a sculpture, and then I was there to look how it works there, and then I realized this is not the place for a sculpture. This is the place for another kind of art. It's just thinking of art. This could be also a piece of art, and it should be imaginaire. So it means that I give money of the production to the reservat there. And we are doing just a small plaquette. And
Science, small science.
Small
Yeah.
science, which is which explained the work that all the money has to go to this reservoir, to this nature zone, because this is so important there. Some of the birds from the north are coming, they rest there, and they are flying to the south. And if we can protect this area, this is a piece for the whole system, nature system. And I realized when I do this, this is a connection between nature and culture. And that means that culture, one part of our culture could be to protect the nature.
Yeah.
And to realize that we are a part of the nature. That art can also be just imaginary and just thinking. And this means that the whole system is bigger than a piece of art.
What helps you to create this imaginaire, like imaginative art? What helps you to create these concepts?
Yeah, I'm very influenced by Timothy Morton and also Sam Morris and Rachel Carson and others and philosophers. And Timothy Morton said that we are a part of this ecological system. And when we realize that we are a part and we lose this overview of a bird, then we can see all what we do is a part for the ecological system.
But to have this perspective, like bird view, as you say, is it important to have only for artists or also for us,
No,
like
for
normal
us,
human beings?
For all human beings, yes.
And how to have this perspective, because it's very difficult to have it in your daily life. You're busy with work, you're busy with your family, maybe some also geopolitical issues which are bombing, from all the sides. How to keep, the spirit and also to go beyond, to look from far away in the system? Does maybe traveling help to recognize that, meeting different people from different cultures? What is your recipe for this?
There is no recipe. I think we could go slowly through our life. Sometimes we can take a rest and look what's around us and what can we do, or what should we do, or what's better. Maybe it's better to do nothing, to wait. Maybe it's better to do something. So I think it's sometimes very important to make a step back and look what is around and to take a rest.
To take a rest. Interesting. Speaking about taking rest, I would love to speak about the work Silent Garden. That is particularly about garden being in rest, being winter garden, right? You traveled to Giverny to encounter the famous Monet garden. And when you arrived there, it was not the garden which we all imagine maybe from the paintings or Instagram feed. What was your impression and how it came to realization of Project Empty Garden?
It was January and it was a warm winter. And I saw in this garden a lot of herb and weeds there. And I realized in this moment, this is not the concept of Monet. This is just nature. And this nature, these herb and weeds, they have only in this winter time, when it's not so cold, they can grow up. They have just in this meantime a chance to grow up. And then I realized, this is the nature. This is a kind of wild nature. And it's completely the opposite of Monet's idea of a garden. And at the same time, I realized we are in this time that the biodiversity is going smaller and smaller. and we lose a lot of fauna and flora. And then I knew that I have to do an installation about this garden. And some years later, I came back and I decided to make a very strict installation. I do always the opposite of Monet. So Monet's idea was to plant normal plants, flowers, confected flowers, and he take the herb and weeds away.
Which is actually the food, right, for the insects.
Yeah. So then I give the herb and weeds a room. And for Monet, they had no value. So when I bring them in a form of a sculpture, I give them value.
And you enhance them also with the material. You are not just paint the dry grass, so to say. You cast each single plant in bronze.
Yes.
Could you please elaborate on this process? It's very hard, intense work to do.
Yeah, it was very hard because they are so fragile. Then in the end, we tried to do this, I think it was 3 years in the end. And then we were lucky that we could realize this work. But we had to do a lot of steps, and it was always to go on and to go back. We had a lot of experience, and it was a very hard time. But on one side, on the other side, it was very, very great to do this work.
Satisfying feeling, probably. Yeah. And when this idea, of having sculptures in the space and then adding additional layer of shadows into that, like a projection, shadows are moving, you see certain movement and like some insects are flying. Where does this come from?
It comes from the idea that I give these sculptures a thinking of living back, just in the shadow. And there is the projector is in front of this installation, and there is a mix between the shadow of the sculptures.
And it's not only shadow; it's going on something else, right? Mm-hmm. It's a bit like a ghost, going
or a dream.
Yes, or a dream. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. I would like also to come back to another video from you, Flowers 4, which has received a lot of attention last year during Art Basel, and it's your older work about the farm in Netherlands, right? When the dry flowers, like normally white flowers, are being dyed and in different colors. And it's also a bit like off-season in the market, right? When we don't have any live flowers, no tulips, no further market flowers. And that's a fantastic video. I mean, in itself, the workers, they're using this bouquets of flowers as brushes, as Jackson Pollock, just like playing with them. But it has lots of layers, like lots of meanings. I mean, not only about like our consumption, our market habits, but also how we use nature, really use nature, right?
Yeah, what we prefer. Cultivated plants or natural plants. So this is the meaning behind, or that we use the plants as a decoration. And it's also a work about beauty. Is the nature really beauty?
But artificial beauty.
Or what we prefer? Prefer we the artificial beauty or the natural beauty? So, yeah. And another layer is the art. We know that in Holland we have a great tradition of paintings of flowers. And then when I was there and was shooting the movie, I realized that the bouquet of flowers, they became as pencil
brushes
as brushes, and The color is not on the canvas now, it's directly on the flowers.
On the flowers and all around.
All around, yeah. So it was the feeling to be in an artist room, in an atelier or a studio, and at the same time in a fabric zone. Yeah. So it was a really hard feeling there for me. It was a really hard experience, yeah.
How was the reaction during the Art Basel on this work?
The reaction was very great, but the people were really shocked about it, what we are doing. And I had a lot of reactions from young people. They said, how can I buy flowers in shops or so? And yeah, I said, yes, you can look. From where are the flowers?
You breed butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do in your free time, right? Out of your studio, out of your atelier. And I found this story when you told me it for the first time. I found it so fascinating. Could you please tell us, in case we want to breed butterflies, what we have to beware?
Yeah, I have a small garden, and I found a puppet of a butterfly, and then I made research of this puppet, and then I realized that I have to take care of this puppet. And in our times, we are losing a lot of butterflies, and then I thought, okay, I have to take care on these butterflies. I have to look that my garden is a paradise of insects. And so I made a new garden with a lot of wild plants. And since there I have a lot of butterflies and insects as well. And I take the eggs of these butterflies in an terrarium. It's called terrarium, and I feed them. Yeah. And when they made the transformation, I let them flying away. But they are coming always back, and I have always the eggs of these butterflies in my garden.
Beautiful. It's like being a wizard, making a bit of a magic.
But to take care of butterfly, it means that you breed them and you spend a lot of time with the puppets.
You often use animals in your videos. Mm-hmm. But you use them for a different purpose, right? On one side, you want maybe to use it as a metaphor for some mm-hmm. human vices, mm-hmm. some human characteristics. Mm-hmm. But also animals, they are in your works quite wild. They are showing their emotion, showing their power. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, the captivated owl, mm-hmm. which struggles, mm-hmm. to get free. Mm-hmm. They are not so, let's say, so cute, and so domesticated as we used to see animals.
In the horse, for example, you could see a horse is going on a rail. On a rail, yeah. And in this work, the horse is an animal who is since many years with our society. The horses bring us to new countries. The horse carries loads, and we use them, and we take them the space away. And a wild horse, they need the landscape. They have to go through the landscape. But now, for example, in Switzerland, we have this horse in small spaces. So this is the metaphor, and the metaphor is also that on this horse piece, that the horse is going on and on and on and on, and on one place. It's coming not
nowhere.
Nowhere, yeah.
It's not reaching anything.
Yeah. So this is a metaphor of our society, that we are going on the same place.
I would like also maybe to mention the work with ants, which you had.
Okay.
I think that is one of my first encounters, and which I found like fascinating. You know, the hard work that you did behind. So basically, the artwork is the video installation, right, of 8 screens, on which you see ants eating a banknote of 1,000 Swiss francs. It's a lot of money, a big investment. And also maybe for our audience to mention that the banknote of 1,000, it was called Ameisen, right? Which means an ant. That's why it's also maybe the reference why you took ants. And it took you a while, right, to teach the ants how to eat the paper of the money, because maybe it's not the best paper to eat. Could you please maybe speak about the procedure, you know, how this work came to life, and maybe afterwards we can speak about the meaning of the work.
I read in a newspaper that a story of a woman. He was living in Shanghai, and she had her savings over the bed. And one time she realized that there was no money, just some
leftovers.
Leftovers.
Yeah. Don't keep your money under the bed.
And then she said to the journalist, I lose the value of the money, and the value is gone. And I thought, yes or no? No, because the value of the money is now in the ants. And for me, it was really interesting to think over how is a value of an ant before eating a piece of money, and how is the value after. And then on another layer, for us in our society, they are not so beloved animals.
Why not? They're hardworking. Also,
I don't know.
Okay.
We love lions and bears and cats.
All fluffy animals.
All fluffy animals. But insects, especially butterflies, they are not so, they are not beloved. So then I thought about this. We said, or we decide, this animal we like, we protect them. The others we don't like, we don't protect.
It kills the diversity of the animal world.
Yeah. And this was on the other hand. And on the third level, it was at this time when stock market problems of houses and so on.
Yeah, real estate crash.
Real estate. And then, a lot of people lose the money, and also a lot of people in Switzerland. And then I was thinking about the animals. They are so working all the day and bring the money of the society in their lives, because they don't eat, they bring them in the ant construction or ant nest, and there is the food for a mushroom, and they eat the mushroom. There is a transformation from the money to the mushroom, and they eat the mushroom.
Wonderful.
It's a very clever evolution. So, and this is directly the thinking between our culture and our society to the animals. So this is direct work.
Interesting. And it was not easy, right, to teach this ants?
No, in the beginning I thought I'm going in a forest and bring a little bit money to the animals there, and then they had no interest to the money. And then I realized, it was in Shanghai. They are very special ants. They are cutting ants, and our ants in Switzerland, they can't cut leaves or other materials. And so I had to find this special animal, these special ants in Switzerland, and I found a man who has these animals. So I could do this work. And then I was a little bit afraid about the ants, and I talked with this man, and I asked them, is this dangerous for these ants? And he said, no, they try, and if it's good, they bring this in the anthill, and if it's not good, then they take them out.
So smart.
Yeah.
So smart. And I also read in one of your interviews that the like critique of this work changed through the time. So first people were worried about the money, and they could not imagine how you could destroy 1,000 Swiss francs. But later on, people start to worry about the ants, that they could eat some, maybe some chemicals or some dyes, which are not good for them. Yeah. So that's also a particular thing about our society.
Yeah. So I was really lucky the last time when I had this discussion with the visitors of the exhibition, that they realized, there could be really a danger for the ants. And
insects and some particular animals are signs that our ecosystem is healthy, right? And that's particular about the dragonflies, which you told me that is a sign that everything functions quite well in the particular pond, like in water ecosystem. And I would love to come to your recent work about dragonflies, which I found amazingly poetic and also, again, having lots of layers, including archaeological layers, because we're speaking about the dragonflies from several thousand years back. Could you please maybe elaborate more on this work?
I made a research about these insects, and then I realized they are living since 320 million years on the Earth, and since the Carbon Age. And then at this time they were really huge. They had about, one of the wings was about 60 to 80 centimeters. And then they lose, the body is the same, but they lose just the size. So they are smaller now. And this is really fascinating. And they are living on the landscape as an insect, and they are living as a puppet in the lake or in the ponds. And so it means, as you said, that when we have dragonflies in our neighborhood, we know this is a very healthy nature. The water is clean, and the landscape has a very big biodiversity. So then decide I would make a piece with the wings of the dragonflies, and how could do this? At the beginning, I was thinking I would make some sketches, but then I realized this is not. I can in the sketches I cannot show this fragility of the dragonflies, and so.
But these wings, you decided to make them without the body, so it means it's rests, like remnants.
Genau, they are remains, and then it remains, and they have the size of the prehistorical dragonflies.
So the wings are 80 centimeters.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And I made this with bronze. Made some net, and then I was going on to glass, and now we are melting glass, and I paint, and then I paint it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and on the wall you can see the shadow of these wings, and it's the shadow of the prehistorical time.
It's a very poetical work.
Yeah.
Also, I like the way you think, how to play with this material, how to maybe introduce new materials in order to have a reference to something. And one of my maybe also favorite works, I mean, it seems that all works are favorite, is the landscape 5, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's where you have a whole sky or landscape out of metal hooks, which are connected to a wire, transparent wire up to the ceiling, and it creates a whole kind of 3D image of a space. But as soon as you approach them, then it's not funny, right? Then you have to beware, because these are the real fishing hooks, and you can easily get caught.
Yeah. The material is always a part of the work. So sometimes I use fish hooks or caramel, bird sugar.
We come to that.
Or bronze. And this is also a very special part of the work, and it's one of the subjects. It has a part of the subject of the work. So Landscape 5 is an installation. It's made of over 3,000 fish hooks.
Incredible.
They are hanging like a landscape, hilly landscape in the room. And on the first glance, you think, oh, this is a beautiful landscape. And when you come closer, you see on the second glance, this is dangerous.
Yep.
And behind the work stands the idea that how we use our nature, how we use the landscape, and the exploitation of the nature.
So the nature becomes maybe a villain, like not kind in return, right?
Yeah, right.
It also has a correspondence, to the work of Segantini, The Angry Mothers, when he depicted a metaphor for nature, which is not a friendly way, right? Which shows that nature can be aggressive, the nature can be protective in itself, or nature, as you told, it is as it is, right? It doesn't have a certain agenda. It has just its natural laws, and we have to adjust ourselves to this. But I mean, back then in 19th century, that was a really new rhetoric, because, in 19th century, with all this English gardens, the architects, the artists, they try to create this idyll of landscape, right? We also, in a certain way, with our tourism, with our habits for hiking, we have this ideal that nature is always, welcoming us, always friendly. But what you try to show, and you're not doing it moralizing, that we have to be a bit cautious.
No, it's important to have more respect on the nature.
To have more respect. Oh, I like it. How do you spend your time in nature? Do you hike?
Yeah. Yes, hiking and biking tours are very important for me. Going through very slowly through the landscape, that I can see the small things and discover the small things. I like this.
You also train your eye with this, right? You also have mental space for to create these ideas, maybe to create this poetry, to make it visible for the people. Could you recall maybe one of your most important or mind-breaking, so to say, trips that you had? Maybe some far distant travels which you had in recent years.
I had a trip to Iceland, and it was very impressive for me because I never saw an active volcano, and it was really, really impressive. I was there and could shoot some videos there.
It was the Farin Mountain.
Yeah, the Farin
Mountain. Your imagination from the childhood.
Yeah, and I could realize after several installations. For example, afterglow, big glass bowls with the projection of lava in it, or islands. This is a new installation.
What is it about?
It is a room with 32 islands hanging from the floor, and on these islands they are burned plants and trees.
A projection?
No, they're they are cast in bronze,
Okay.
and you have the shadow on the wall, and it looks like on the wall you have the shadow of the islands, and it looks like some writings.
Okay.
About history, but at the same time you have the feeling you are in a special position. You are in the present now. You have the past, the history, and you feel now it's just a break, and it's going on.
Wow.
The plants can grow now.
Interesting. So. You often play with time. You take sometimes time as your co-creator, especially with the materials which are degradable or which are fluid, which change their form with the time. And here maybe I would love to come back to two works. That's Caramel Room, which you created several times. Basically, you had the fluid sugar and you casted it in the form of Baroque furniture. And here surely we have again this historical layer, right? But the whole story, the whole history kind of is reenacted in front of our eyes, right? And it goes destroyed. That's a very interesting work, especially I think it's a work for all the senses, right? Because you smell this sweetness in the room.
It's going back to the colonial time. The sugar was one of these important goods, and it means that this colonial time is coming now in the present. We have this sugar, it's coming from this time, and it means that these sugar islands, the people who lived there worked there as slaves.
Yeah.
And it was exploitation of the people there and of the landscape there. A lot of people from Europe were getting rich with this exploitation and
of natural resources and people, right?
And yeah, exactly. And so I built this caramel room. Caramel is burnt sugar.
Yeah.
And it means it's too much. And this furniture is melting down. This richness is melting down. It's going away. So.
Yeah, but it also has this joyful, playful aspect, because normally you have like this caramel, like as a lollipop, in the childhood memories, right? And then you see it's so beautiful, so shiny, like if the sun is coming into the room, and it's actually looks delicious, right? Not only from the smell, and probably it's also a reference to this luxurious lifestyle, where you come into the Baroque room, because you also covered the floor with the mirror, right? It looks attractive in the sense,
really,
it's all about our way we consume. We like attractive things. And not often realizing, what's coming next, right?
Yeah, but what's behind this? Or what does it mean really? That it means that a lot of people suffered in the past, but also in the present now.
Do you think that people today realize or reflect a bit more on their way of consummation, on their acts? Like, what are the conclusions of these actions? And here I would love to reference to the work Listen to the Flowers. It's, again, a work Kunst am Bau from the Kantonspolizei in Zurich, where you have the thistles, like large-scale thistles, I think more than 4 meters tall, right? Made from the voluntarily surrendered weapons from the community here in Zurich. And what was your idea? Do people wish to do that more often?
I hope so. That the people realize more and more what's going on, what's around us, and can react them. For this work, Listen to the Flowers, I used bronze and steel of weapon.
Yep.
And the steel of weapon came from weapons from the society of the canton of Zurich. When I heard this, that the people give the weapons back to the police, for me this is a great sign of the dialogue. And this work stands for the idea of the flower power. And that it means this is a sign for dialogue and for an exchange and for a de-escalation.
And you decided to choose thistle, right?
Yes.
The one from Scotland. We also find them here.
Yeah.
And what are the characteristics of thistle?
Thistle is a wild plant. It's a very useful plant. It's also a medical plant. It's useful for insects. Mm-hmm. And it stands for a power and for
resistance.
Resistance, right? Yes. Yeah. And the story of Scotland is this: the Vikingers came to Scotland and would take over Scotland, and they were barefoot.
Okay.
And one of them stand in a thistle and was crying and alarmed the Scottish people. So that's why the thistle is now the official plant of Scotland. And it means this is a plant, it's a nice plant, it's a very useful plant on one side. On the other side is a very resilient plant.
Yeah.
And it shows to the justice and the police, we gave you our trust, but we are looking at you, and
we are in dialogue with you, right?
We are in dialogue
police
with you
of Canton Zurich,
and you have to react in the rules.
I would love to speak about the work, which I've never seen, and I think I never discussed with you. It's a tree. Called Tree from 2008. Mm-hmm. And it was an installation of a tree having small screens on it, right? And sometimes you had like lips speaking some words or mumbling something. Could you please give us an idea about this work? First of all, how it was made, what is it? And also the references that you had.
Yeah, it was an apple tree. It was in the museum at Chur. And on this tree there were a lot of small screens with lips, and the screens shows lips from politicians.
Okay.
At this time, and they are speaking some sentences, and in these trees you could hear some sentences, but there is a big murmuring, blubbering, and this sentence. They are just sentences.
No actions, right?
No actions.
Yeah.
And sometimes they are actions, but most of the time they are just sentences.
Interesting.
So it's a work about fake news.
Okay.
About informations and not informations and just wishful thinking.
Interesting, but it's also a very good allegory, for the tree itself, because when we say that, like walking in the forest, we hear these leaves which are speaking. This is just like, let's say, blah blah. Like just like the movement of the wing of the wind, because the real action or like the real brain of a tree is actually in the roots, right? That's how trees communicate.
Yeah.
And what for us is the communication of a tree is just the fluttering of the wings of the leaves in the wind. So I think it's like a really beautiful kind of human interpretation of nature in itself. And I would love to come here maybe also to the work that we have today on display. That's Root from your Root series. And it's quite a particular piece, right? Because it was casted just a single piece. Maybe if you could give us an idea, how you work on this bronze, on these castings, and what roots are this?
This was a root. We directly cast this in bronze. And this is always a big risk. Then we never know how it works or if it works. This was one thing, and the other thing is behind the series of roots is to bring a very important part of a plant on an eye level. Normally, this is underground, and we have forgotten this. But the root is the very important part of the plant. And for me, it was important to bring this on an eye level, that we realized that we have underground a very important part of the nature.
A whole network.
Whole network. So I'm coming back to Rachel Carson, this biologist from the States. She has written the book The Silent Spring. It's about DDT. It was published in the 80s. In this book is written about DDT and the consequences of our lives, on the lives of insects, birds, and so on. Now DDT is forbidden, but we use other pesticides, and they are all in our soil, and they have a big influence on
the plants. And more to that, they go afterwards to the underground waters, right?
Yeah. So that's why I realized this work.
Interesting. Speaking about trees, we know that trees are communicating through the roots, and especially they are very supportive, to their own species, but also they support other trees. They send signals. For example, if one tree is in danger or dying or whatsoever. But there is a very special tree, birch tree, which is believed to be mother of the trees, and it's the first tree which comes at the territories which suffered, for example, from nuclear waste or something. And you made a work about the birch tree trunks, right? And it's a very interesting work. On one side, you articulate all these topics, but at the same time, due to the materiality of the works, because they're made from sand, right?
Yeah.
It brings completely different aspect. Could you share it with us?
During the exhibition, when it's very dry in the room, trees are very important for us. The oxygen is coming from the trees, and when the tree dissolving, so we're very producer of our lives. So that's why I have used the sand as a material.
Yeah. Ursula, I think I would love to speak about one work which I encountered in your catalog, but I have not really understood it. The Voice of Silence from 2022. Basically, you see in the installation scattered chicken wings or feathers. Which are casted in bronze, right? And it's like a pile of them. They're not ordinarily organized. Could you explain me this work? What does it mean?
We spoke about works of animals, and this is a work about farm animal.
Okay.
And about chicken. Additional to the other animal works, it shows how we use animals in these big farms, and what's behind.
Yeah.
And so then I was going in a farmhouse, and then I was shooting, and then I thought, no, that's I don't like this video, because it was it was a really hard video to see these animals living in the farmhouses there.
And they're also caged, right?
Yeah, in cage. And so what's behind? What can we see of these animals? And there are the feathers. Then I decided to make installation with feathers and not real feathers. I cast the feathers in bronze, and I polished them. It looked like golden feathers.
Yes.
I come back on the story for the golden feathers. So this is a story about a fairy tale with birds. They have golden feathers. The children are looking of these feathers and they are searching these feathers. And when they can find these feathers, they have better dreams, better visions, and a bright future. And then I thought, maybe we have to go to a bright future if we can find a new relation to these animals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a very big topic, farm animals. But are there maybe any new themes that you would love to encounter? Because now recently you started to travel to Asia quite a lot. You've been to South Korea. You will also go for a solo show in Singapore. Do you also think maybe about the topic, or to make a research, in these countries, to go beyond your local story? What's at the moment going on in your life?
At the moment, I'm doing a lot of research about the ecosystem in general. And I'm painting at the moment. They are really
nice.
Yeah. Painting on canvas, but they're not so normal paintings. It's like geographic systems. There are several local ecosystems, and the connection between these systems
on a global scale.
Yeah, to the general system. And it's like an interwoven system. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you also partner sometimes with scientists?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Always in discussion with the scientists, yeah.
So for you, it's important that it has also the scientific kind of backup, right?
Yeah.
For the research. How is it? Maybe you can give us a bit of the recipe that you use, which is quite successful. How to communicate with the audiences? Because the topics that you try to, that you elaborate, they're sometimes very hard to digest, so to say, for the audiences. And many people do not have either time or they have space, mental space, to enter into this topic. Or sometimes, they're fed up with this greenwashing because, from all the sources we hear about the environment, climate change and whatsoever. What is your way? What is your gentle kind of mediation process, to enter into this hard and difficult topics?
Yeah, it's depending. Sometimes I have really time to go in this topic, to stand back, to give all these plants and animals room. But sometimes I'm really busy and I forgot this, like everybody. But I think it's very important that we know we are a part of this system, and everybody can find its own way. Sometimes it's easier to find it, sometimes not so. It's not a problem if we take a car to go from one point to the other point. But sometimes we can take a bicycle, sometimes we can do this by foot. And we know now we have time, we do this now. Tomorrow we have no time, we take the car or the train. So I think we have to be not so strictly, we have to be very tolerant and respectful to each other, and to give us more room and to give the plant and
also their space, their own space.
Yeah, their own space. And maybe there is just a small case on a balcony for wild plants. That could be also very good and very useful. So I think everybody can find its own way.
From your saying now, I see that you have a hope, and you are very positive about our future, that we still find a way, how to handle with this climate change. But I would like maybe to enter into the discussion about the work Moon in My Pocket, because for me, this work looks, it's like really about the end of the world, where you see like these branches of wood with a projection of some plastic, scattered all around. And it's a very, quite a difficult work emotionally. It's very poetical, yes, but it's quite difficult to satiate yourself with. Could you maybe give an idea why you wanted to make it? Because now you sound very positive.
Now I'm very positive indeed, but I also see this is a lot of to do, and we have no time. We have to do it now. But I want to say that sometimes the people say we have to wait on our politicians. Yes, this is true, but we can push them. And the other thing is we can do ourselves something. And I see a lot of very positive signs of people, private people. They do something, small things in their life, and this is also very good. And it means that we do some small things. These things are very important for the whole. So yeah.
And when you see your installation of small birds, of really hundreds of small birds for Silent Spring, and you see how patient they are, are waiting for our actions, but also how fragile they are, because you want, they're cute, you have this yo effect, but you want to protect them.
Sometimes we are in a period that we are so covered with other things, but it means always that we can change, and then we can go on. So, and I'm coming back to the moon in my pocket. Yeah, the moon in my pocket is a really sad installation. It means that behind us we have a lot of plastic everywhere and a lot of rubbish everywhere, and we are covering our landscape with this rubbish. And yeah, it's a very sad installation. But on the other side, you see there is a lot of space that we can change it in this installation.
But for this, we need to have a mentality of recuperation, of mentality of mending, of fixing things, because I think that was a generation which was raised, oh, I don't fix it, I just get a new one, that has to be changed. And earlier today we were discussing the work of yours with the two marshlet birds, which seem like to be normal birds at one side, but you mentioned that they are actually not all right? They have some damages, and probably these damages come from the wildlife, but also most probably from the actions of human beings, right? They were either trapped or hit or whatever. So that's actually the heritage that we have to fix, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
What will be the knowledge that you will pass on to your grandchildren?
That we have not forget that we are a part of the nature.
I thank you so much for this conversation, Ursula.